Okay folks, today we're going to review the C2 rower. According to a lot of folks, this is the king of all pieces of exercise equipment, and for good reason. This design has remained unchanged for a long time. This thing's anvil solid. The CrossFitters latched onto it. C2 sales shot through the roof. Before that, rowing teams used this thing for collegiate rowing and scull and whatever kind of rowing clubs you might have if you're in a part of the country where folks do that thing. But this is just a great all-around way to get your heart rate up, get some cardiovascular exercise, and add specific muscle groups that are really pretty important to your overall development, especially since sometimes, especially if you're a bro lifter, these are muscle groups you typically don't get. So let me demonstrate how this thing works. So as you're using this thing, primary muscle groups it's engaging: quads, glutes, biceps. I feel it in my biceps big time. You can change up your grip if you want. Hit biceps even harder. Back of the shoulder, just like if you're doing a bent over row with barbells, just it would be very light. You're doing a lot of reps. Then mostly the middle of your back. Now, if you read the Concept 2 literature / propaganda, they will tell you that this hits every muscle group in the known universe. I mean, it kind of does. Like, it's definitely going to do something with core and lower back, probably more so than abs. But to be realistic, I don't feel like this would exercise those groups as well as what it's doing with quads, glutes, back of shoulder, bicep, middle of your back, right? So those are the primary things, and maybe a little bit of lower back, because you got a little bit of a pulling action here. Abs, you can see that maybe it engages them a little bit, because at the end you do this, then you straighten yourself up. But for the most part, it's those big muscle groups I mentioned. Now when you fire this thing up and get it going, then this digital display clicks in. It'll show you like calories per hour. You can go ahead and choose different things to display on this thing. Like here, I think it's just really hung up on calories per hour. So this is strokes per minute, projected time for projected meters in 30 minutes, things like that. Concept 2 is actually really good about documenting all their stuff, and there's tons of videos. So I won't go too much into the features there, but here it's got a fan. And then it's got this thing which adjusts how much air goes into the fan, and you can adjust your resistance. One thing I'm going to say, there's just nothing more irritating than a person that takes this thing and turns the resistance up to 10. If you look at the Concept 2 website, what they recommend is that you put it on this little line that's between the number 4 and 5. That's where it needs to go, and what you're doing is you're setting something called the drag factor. First time I did this, I set this between 4 and 5. Check my drag factor, it was on, like to the whatever the erg or whatever the drag factors are measured on. So just put it between 4 and 5. If you're using these in a club, be really careful. Most of the time, probably 9 times out of 10 when I go to a club and use one of these, some clowns set this to 10 because they don't know how to use these things. Set it between 4 and 5. That's where you want your workout to be. So it's got a chain attached to a handle, little thing for your feet, strap your feet in, and then it's got this seat that you sit on. It rolls back and forth. So it's a very simple machine. Let me show you how to break this thing down, because you can't really stand it up with a normal size ceiling. So the way this comes apart is, there's a little door here, you open it up, and then it breaks into 2 parts that you can sort of stand up over in your closet or something like that. So here's the other part. And then when you go to put it back together again, you just reverse that process. So these are not that bad to store. If you don't take it apart like this, it's too tall for you to stand up like in a normal size house with an 8-foot ceiling. So there we go. Now it's clipped in. Okay, so what are my impressions of this? Other than a treadmill, this was the first piece of exercise gear I bought. I love it. A lot of people will say this is sort of their foundational machine. It's the one machine they've got and they use it like crazy. I'm going to say that's not the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I think these things are great. Now, one thing I will say, if you're going to buy a rower, don't mess around with any other rower but this. Concept 2 is the only rower you should be buying. I love it when my choice is easy and I can just buy one thing and I'm assured that that one thing is good. This is that case. Now, Zybex, they're the company that rips off the Assault Air Bike. They are making a competing product to this, which folks claim is just as good. I can't vouch for that personally. Coop on Garage Gym Reviews did a side-by-side, so if you want to know more about that, check out his review. My personal opinion is buy the C2. It has proven itself over the course of at least 1 decade, maybe 2, and I've never known a person who bought one of these that regretted it. Now, they are a little pricey. I think this was $1,000, give or take. Some very large amount of money, but it lasts forever. So the CrossFit gyms use these things. They stick them up there. They beat on them day in and day out. These things basically don't break. So I like it when I don't have to think about something too much and try and compare features on a bunch of different products. This one's awesome. So my recommendation is to go with this C2 rower, 2 thumbs up. If you're thinking about a rower, don't waste your time with a different brand and don't try to save money by buying a different brand. Just go with this one. You'll sleep better at night and you'll be glad you did it. Have a great workout, everybody. We'll see you soon.